Sonic the Hedgehog has a reputation as a character that attracts very obsessive fans. And I have a theory on why there seems to be such an outsized amount of obsession directed towards him. Have you ever been in a situation where you could make something very bad happen? You know, like a destructive impulse. For instance, when you're like standing near a cliff, holding a puppy, or waiting at a stoplight, have you ever had that thought cross your mind to make the bad thing happen? Like launching yourself off a cliff, spiking the puppy into the ground, or plowing yourself into traffic? If all your faculties are in order, you should be able to identify that these are destructive impulses, and you don't go along with it. In fact, the thought might make you uncomfortable, and lead to you becoming more actively careful and guarded against the destructive impulse. So instead of jumping, you'd think, oh, I don't actually want to fall, I should stay away from the edge. Likewise, you'd think, oh, I don't really want to hurt the dog, I should be more careful with him, he's fragile. And also, not only will I not drive in traffic, the road is too dangerous for me. But here on the sidewalk, the car is the apex predator. As far as my limited understanding goes, this is an evolutionarily developed behavior, where your brain uses a sort of reverse psychology on you to make you do smart things by suggesting obviously stupid, dangerous, or even psychotic ideas. Okay, now look at Sonic. He's blue and got spikes, right? Well, in the natural world, which is the world that our brain's evolutionary behaviors are wired to help us navigate, animals that look like this are generally highly toxic.
Why am I toxic?
Bright, contrasting colors and showy parts on an animal serve a similar purpose to your brain telling you to play in traffic. Instead of trying to conceal itself, the animal is actively making its presence known, and by extension, advertising itself to predators the same way your brain's advertising the option of jumping off a cliff to you. In the same way you should know the hazards of cliff jumpery, predatory animals already kind of know not to touch animals that look like this, or quickly figure it out after a bad experience or two. Okay, so theory time. Children are presented with Sonic. Their brain recognizes features associated with poison animals. So it then tries its little trick of making the child feel drawn to the hog. The ideal response being that the kid's attention's drawn to it, but then when it's passed over to their conscious decision making, they choose not to touch it, and internalize the animals that look like Sonic aren't to be messed with in the future. The actual response that ends up happening is the child's attention is drawn to Sonic, they register the being pulled towards the cliff feeling, but then, when it's passed over to the kid's conscious mind to make the decision if they should listen to the feeling or not, they've got absolutely no reason to say no. Sonic isn't poisonous, dangerous, or even real in our dimension. Yet. Their unconscious mind then recognizes that the intended reaction wasn't reached, so it makes another attempt at the same maneuver. Once again, it invokes the cliff pull feeling. Once again, the child has no reason to resist it. Still unhappy with this outcome, the unconscious mind continues to send the same signal over and over, drawing attention to Sonic and making the child feel drawn to him. At no point will the child suddenly think to give the proper response to make this stop. So at no point will it stop. Then, after being mentally bombarded for long enough, the child will give in to obsession. All of this happening only because our brain was trying to stop us from licking funny-looking snails.